Good morning. My name is Jen Whedon. My pronouns are she, her. It is my honor to be in the pulpit today as the worship associate with Reverend Dara. We gratefully acknowledge the Patuxet Wampanoag people on whose ancestral lands we gather today. We could commit to support and honor their history and culture. We welcome all of you, members and friends and newcomers alike, whoever you are, wherever you are in your spiritual journey, whatever your age, young or old. For this 1 hour, you are part of this congregation and you are welcome. Everyone is invited to coffee hour following the service in the assembly hall. It's through this door on my left. Just follow the crowds. And for those of you who are visiting, maybe there's some folks from Kingston, you can use this red mug so that we can offer you a warm First Parish meeting or greeting. A couple announcements for today. If anyone wants to add to the joys and concerns, you may do so here. There's paper on the seats as well as up here and in the basket. Today for our Sunday service, we're having a friend of Sophie's, Elaine Keller, join us. Welcome, Elaine. We will have, you can stop by the social justice table during coffee hour to express your support for trans youth as trans youth healthcare is being threatened. It'll only take 5 minutes. Vesper services are going to be Tuesday at 5:30. Also today, you can learn about small group ministry offerings at our social hour as well. All right, thanks.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dara Bryans, and I use she, her pronouns, and I am the minister here at First Parish Church in Duxbury. And I'm so glad to see all of you hearty and brave souls who came out on this very chilly winter morning. And I want to add a special welcome to any congregants from the First Parish in Kingston who might be joining us this morning, either here or online. We are so glad you're joining us. Our opening words this morning, Grace Meets Us Where We Are, come from UU Minister Reverend Gretchen Haley. There is nothing you need to bring with you to be welcome here. No right beliefs or proof of citizenship. No eternal optimism or clarity of conviction. No boundless courage or endless expertise. You do not need to know what brought you here, or how you will solve that problem you're turning over and over in your mind. Your bills do not need to be paid, and your checkbook can be a mess. Your children may have had you up half the night. Your hearing aids may not be working, and your knees might be creaking. You do not need to already be perfect, or even halfway, to belong in this circle where grace meets us where we are, but does not leave us as it found us. Where love resides in each of us, yet is somehow more than all. Where life still pulses and rages and heals and transforms, creating us and this day anew once again. Come, let us worship. Our opening hymn this morning is called There Is More Love, and it is also known as Biko in honor of South African anti-apartheid activist Stephen Bantu Biko, who founded the South African Student Organization. This hymn commemorates his efforts toward equality. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and join in singing There Is More Love Somewhere. Lyrics are on the screen and at number 95 in the gray hymnals. invite you to stay risen as you are as Kathy and Jay lead us in our chalice lighting and our doxology.
Let this flame be to us a symbol of the wholeness we seek.
Its brightness to sun and moon, lighting a path to faith and hope.
Its glow reminding us of the sacred bonds that link us to all living things.
Its radiance calling us to cast the light of freedom, justice, and peace upon all the world.
Children off to their religious exploration classes. We always sing them out with This Little Light of Mine. The lyrics are on the screen and at 118 in our gray hymnals. But we have no joys, we've got no concerns or cares for our world today, so I'm going to offer some that are on my heart. This morning I lift up a joy for the beautiful snow, and even as I cursed the universe for sending it yesterday, as I shoveled it, it brings so much beauty to our world. It also helps those seeds nestled under the snow getting ready to bloom, to sprout and grow in the spring. I light this candle Jen is lighting our candle for that joy. And as a concern, I lift up concerns for all of us who are struggling in these winter days when life can feel challenging. We lift up cares for those who are struggling with their health, with health of a loved one, and for all those who have depression in this time. We light a candle of care for you. You are not alone. This community holds and loves you. And finally, the staff did share a care for our world. In fact, many cares for our world. For Ukraine, for where the bombing has continued even while peace talks proceed. For the people of Iran, where it is estimated 30,000 protesters have been killed in a brutal crackdown by their government. For the people in Gaza, where 19 people were killed as Israel renewed bombing. And finally, we lift up a care for everyone impacted by extreme weather in our world, from the wildfires in Patagonia, flooding in Portugal and Spain, to the extreme cold and snow here in North America. We light a candle for these cares for our world. And finally, we light a candle for all of the joys and concerns and cares for our world that I know are deeply felt and yet not spoken by you all here this morning. We light a final candle. Thank you. And now, as we enter into our time of prayer and meditation, I'd like to remind you that you are welcome to bring your understanding of prayer to our practice here this morning. Whether your understanding is mystical or practical and meditative, I invite you now to join me in this sacred ritual. Please close your eyes or soften your gaze. Ground yourself here and now. Feel the seat cushions beneath the sits bones, and breathe in the peace of this sanctuary or wherever you are joining us from. Breathe in and out. Please join me in the spirit of prayer. Spirit of our belief and our unbelief, of love, understanding, and compassion, we lift our prayers this morning and ask these blessings. Blessed are they who doubt, those who aren't sure, who can still be surprised. Blessed are they who are spiritually impoverished and therefore not so certain about everything that they no longer take in new information. Blessed are those who have nothing to offer. Blessed are the preschoolers who cut in line at the snack table. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for you are made of stardust from the heavens. Blessed are they for whom death is not an abstraction. Blessed are they who have buried their loved ones, for whom tears could fill an ocean. Blessed are they who have loved enough to know what loss feels like. Blessed are the mothers of the miscarried. Blessed are they who don't have the luxury of taking things for granted anymore. Blessed are they who can't fall apart because they have to keep it together for everyone else. Blessed are those who still can't get over it. Blessed are they who mourn, for you are made of stardust from the heavens. Blessed are those who no one else notices, the kids who sit alone at middle school lunch tables, the laundry guys at the hospital, the sex workers and night shift street sweepers. Blessed are the forgotten, blessed are the closeted, blessed are the unemployed, the unimpressive, the underrepresented. Blessed are the teens who have to figure out ways to hide the new cuts on their arms. Blessed are the meek, for you are made of stardust from the heavens. Blessed are the wrongly accused, the ones who never catch a break, the ones for whom life is hard. For the prophet Jesus chose to surround himself with people like them. Blessed are those without documentation. Blessed are those without lobbyists. Blessed are the foster kids and special ed kids and every other kid who just wants to feel safe and loved. Blessed are those who make terrible business decisions for the sake of people. Blessed are the burned out social workers and the overworked teachers and the pro bono case workers. Blessed are the kind-hearted football players and the fundraising wives. Blessed are the kids who step between the bullies and the weak. Blessed are they who hear that they are forgiven. Blessed is everyone who has ever forgiven me when I didn't deserve it. Blessed are the merciful, for they totally get it. May this blessing fall on the fertile ground of our hearts and imaginations. May it be so, and amen. This morning's prayer was adapted from one written by Lutheran pastor Nadia Bolz-Weber, and it is titled For the Agnostics. I'd like to invite Julia Connor up to offer her testimonial on belonging.
Good morning. I'm Julia Connor, and I use she, her pronouns. I've been attending First Parish my whole life, and I'm currently on the small group steering committee. Thanks. Yeah. I suppose you could say that I attended my first small group ministry meeting when I was a baby, when my mom brought me along to her meetings, as her fellow group members still sometimes recount to me. Both my parents have been in small groups for my whole life, and growing up, I could see how important their groups were to them. By the time I was 16, the youth group here was failing to thrive, and I decided to try and join a small group as another place to gather with fellow UUs. It was a bit unusual for a teenager to join a small group, since previously there had been an active youth group, but a wonderful group of women took a chance on me and invited me to join their small group. Some of them are here today. Hi, guys. At 16, my life was in a very different place from the rest of the members in my group. While mine was focused on high school, college applications, and drama club, theirs were focused on things like their kids and grandkids and their careers or activities in retirement. Despite our differences in stages of life, I found belonging and fellowship in my group because my group was so welcoming and because the features of small group ministry foster connection across differences. Though I had to leave my small group almost 4 years ago when I went away to college, I feel that my time in my small group strengthens my connection to this overall congregation to this day. When someone talks about joining a group, some might think that they have to fit in. But one of the great things about small group ministry is that there's no need to fit in. While we come together around our shared UU values, and some of our groups are also based on other shared attributes, like the Rare Women's Group or the Parents Group, each group member brings their unique self to the table. Not only are differences welcome, but they can enhance the group. Through the kind of deep listening we do in small group ministry, we can learn from each other and grow together. Thanks for listening to my testimonial. I'll be at a table with some other steering committee members at coffee hour if you would be interested in learning more about small group ministry, including the young adult small group that we're trying to start.
Good morning. My name is Carl Coons. My pronouns are he and him. I'm here to introduce my friend Tara Downs, co-chair of the Duxbury for All organization. I'm on the steering committee of Duxbury for All, as is Rebecca Richards Kramer. I think she's in Germany right now, so she's not here. Lucky her. Tara, on a snowy, cold day like this one in January 1993, she was married to her husband Mike here in this church. So she did not anticipate being back here in this capacity, but welcomes the opportunity. Tara's first post-college job was as a home care physical therapist in the cities surrounding San Francisco. This was her first real-life exposure to diverse cultures. As a 24-year-old, she navigated home care in places like Oakland, California, with a map book and a beeper. It was kind of hard for those of you were young. There was no GPS back then. You had to learn how to use a map. She communicated with her patients and their families across language, cultural, and socioeconomic differences, with no technology assistance or real preparation. It was a formative and fabulous experience for her. Karen and Mike have lived in Duxbury for the past 22 years. She's raised 2 wonderful daughters here. In 2020, she saw the call to action that Rotary put in the Clipper in response to the murder of George Floyd. It was a time for her to take a more active role in social justice issues and to be a role model for her daughters. The last 5+ years have been ones of significant personal growth because of the people Tara has met and learned through Duxbury for All, Duxbury Rotary, and all our partner organizations. Over the last 2 years, she has co-chaired, along with her friend Karen Wong, I think most of you know Karen, Duxbury for All. She has committed herself to further education in the areas of social justice. She is currently enrolled in a year-long transformative leadership training through an organization called Visions, and completed a course through the Institute for Economics and Peace to become a peace ambassador. She's been very active in that role and was active in getting Duxbury to be termed a city for peace. So it's my pleasure to welcome Tara Downs.
Thank you very much for welcoming me here today. I was going to start off by saying that I hope everyone's able to see past the challenges of the snow and the ice and the cold and to see the beauty in it. But it appears obvious that this is the type of group that does exactly that. So I appreciate you all being here today. Duxbury for All is an initiative of the Duxbury Rotary Club. It was formed by several passionate members who were angry and motivated by the murder of George Floyd in 2020, Carl being one of them. They placed a full-page call to action in the Clipper, and that was very timely for me. I realized, somewhat late in life, that it was not nearly enough to be a good person. I wanted to be engaged in a way that set an example for my 3 daughters. Early in my involvement, however, I realized how little I actually knew and how ill-equipped I was to engage in social justice topics. So I wanted to commit myself to becoming more educated around the history of social justice in our country and around the world. And it has truly opened my mind and helped me consider vast new perspectives. To quote my friend Carl, I sometimes wondered if I'd been in a coma. But we can only do better, evolve, and be better as human beings, and that's really what Duxbury for All is about. The Duxbury for All Steering Committee is comprised of 13 deeply committed people with different life and work experiences. Together, we have debated, collaborated, and hosted many engaging experiences to highlight the value of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Fast forward to the last year, we have seen many instances of regression around the world. For example, Duxbury Rotary supported its former president, Razia Jan's School for Girls in Afghanistan, only to see its efforts squashed after 20 years of amazing progress by the Taliban. Collectively, we thought, well, that can't happen here, but now that kind of oppression is happening in our own country. Duxbury for All regrouped this winter to acknowledge and process what we see as an assault on diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging efforts. We have recommitted ourselves to this work and updated our mission and vision to be more action-oriented. Now more than ever, we need our community to know who we are, what we stand for, and what we are doing, and we do need your support. Specifically today, I want to highlight our next event, which is a disability inclusion event on February 24th. We have an industry expert to lead the discussion and a panel of people and caregivers and families with disabilities to share their lived experiences. We welcome more participation, and I'll be here after to answer any specific questions that you might have about that event. Funds raised today will cover the cost of our speaker, and any additional funds will go to our scholarship. I wanted to close with a Martin Luther King quote: "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy." And we promise that Duxbury for All will follow that. Thank you.
If the ushers would please come forward to collect the morning's offering that will be given 100% to Duxbury for All.
I'm going to read a poem by Warson. The title of the poem is Home, and the author is Warson Shire. Warson Shire is a Somali immigrant in England. She came to England with her parents as a young child. They came as refugees fleeing violence in Somalia. Home is a poem written by her in 2009, and it was inspired by a visit with young refugees in Rome. No one leaves home unless home is the mouth of a shark. You only run for the border when you see the whole city running as well, your neighbors running faster than you, breath bloody in their throats. The boy you went to school with, who kissed you dizzy behind the old tin factory, is holding a gun bigger than his body. You only leave home when home won't let you stay. No one leaves home unless home chases you. Fire under feet, hot blood in your belly. It's not something you ever thought of doing until the blade burnt threats into your neck, and even then, you carried the anthem under your breath. Only tearing up your passport in an airport toilet, sobbing as each mouthful of paper made it clear you wouldn't be going back. You have to understand that no one puts their children in a boat unless the water is safer than the land. No one burns their palms under trains beneath carriages. No one spends days and nights in the stomach of a truck feeding on newspaper unless the miles traveled means something more than journey. No one crawls under fences. No one wants to be beaten, pitied. No one chooses refugee camps or strip searches where your body is left aching. Or prison, because prison is safer than a city of fire, and one prison guard in the night is better than a truckload of men who look like your father. No one could take it. No one could stomach it. No one's skin would be tough enough. The go-home blacks, refugees, dirty immigrants, asylum seekers, sucking our country dry, grubby immigrants with their hands out. They smell strange, savage, messed up their country, and now they want to mess up ours. How did the words, the dirty looks, roll off your backs? Because maybe the blow is softer than a limb torn off, or the words are more tender.
I might need a moment after that reading. It's a hard one. So, not to make this a test or anything, but how many of you here were last week in the sanctuary or online? All right, well, I've got a second installment for all of you on the sermons that were sparked by my time in Albuquerque at the Institute for Minister Learning. During that week, there were several different learning tracks, and I chose the class called Meeting the Moment. Meeting the Moment came out of last June's annual General Assembly as the theme for this church year, recognizing that the times that we're living in are outside of the norm or what has been the norm for us here in the United States. And we, as Unitarian Universalists, need to consider, how do we meet this moment? Using Minneapolis as a case study, I spent the week learning about nonviolent resistance, disruption, bearing witness, and showing up for our neighbors. During that week, I had a lightning strike or an epiphany moment. Have you ever had that experience? When words land on your heart and your imagination like a physical shock to your system? Anybody? All right, well, it's just me. Oh, there's some nods. Okay, I'm not alone in this. So then, like me, when those words landed on my heart like a live wire, I've learned to take notice. Because over my life, I've come to know that I have to pay attention to what lands with such force and determination on my heart. And that week, the words that struck me didn't sound earth-shaking. And in many ways, they still don't. In fact, I don't remember exactly what was said or who even said it. But what I remember was how it felt in my body when the words landed. And those words were something like, we can create what we belong to. We can create what we belong to. Belonging is a many-faceted concept that spans a range from superficial to profound. Brian Stout, Building Bridges Collaborative founder, defines belonging as, quote, a felt sense in our bodies of safety, power, wholeness, and welcome. It is a relational quality that can be cultivated and practiced, end quote. I like his definition, in part because it helps me clarify our monthly theme called building belonging, which implies that belonging is something that we actively do rather than a state of being. And I think the reason why those words landed so profoundly in my heart during that week at Institute is that I've been seeing this moment we're in as something that is outside and beyond my control, as in I exist within a nation and a culture that has turned everything on its head, and I'm being tumbled along like my friends and family members and my neighbors. And I've been seeing myself as belonging to this system merely by virtue of my citizenship, but not through any choice or decision that I made. It's simply the water we swim in. This live wire moment opened up for me a transformation in my viewpoint. It offered me the possibility that I don't have to simply accept this water. Because unlike the fish in my aquarium, I can change that water. We have the ability to not only reject what is happening, what the ICE agents are doing, the lies being spouted by the administration, the hate-filled laws that are being proposed and passed, we also have the ability to choose something different. If belonging is a felt sense, an embodied experience of safety and power and wholeness and welcome, then there is no belonging in this system, because there is no one who is safe. There is no belonging when home is the mouth of a shark. Warsan Shire says, no one leaves home unless home is the mouth of a shark. No one puts their children in a boat unless the water is safer than the land. No one leaves home until home is a sweaty voice whispering in your ear saying, leave, leave. Home is supposed to be where there is safety, where people love us, where we are accepted for who we are, where we are holy and wholly ourselves. Home should be where we belong, but when home is the mouth of a shark, we have to choose to leave, to choose something else, something different. What would you change if you believed down to the marrow of your bones, to the depths of your soul, that you can create the world that you want to belong in? I think that the world might look something like Minneapolis, that from the outside could look like it's the height of chaos, because you would see the tear gas and the detainment and the beating and the murder. But if you look closely, you will find neighbors choosing to leave their homes so that their at-risk neighbors can stay home where it is safer. These neighbors who are targeted by ICE, who are stopped and pulled from their cars and detained because their skin is black or brown. Because our government has decided that we have to build a wall, and we've got to put razor wire on top of that barrier and the boundaries that we're setting to decide who gets to belong here. And I'm also thinking not only of those neighbors in Minneapolis, but those neighbors in Chicago and LA. in Portland, Oregon, and in Portland, Maine, who are afraid to leave their homes because our country has become the mouth of a shark. I don't want to belong to a world that dehumanizes anyone, whether it's because of the color of their skin, the accent with which they speak English, the amount of money in their bank account, their gender, who they love, or any other identity that comes under attack. Instead, I want to build belonging grounded in radical love. I want to build a world in which home is not the mouth of a shark, where everyone has safety, they have power, they have wholeness, and they feel they are welcome. A world like the city of Minneapolis, where those with a modicum of power, people with the right documentation to prove their citizenship, are choosing to leave home, to go out into the mouth of the shark, because they refuse to live in or belong to a world where they turn away from neighbors being stolen off the streets. They are actively building those bridges and the lifelines to belonging. They're refusing to acquiesce to violence and victimization and oppression. They are refusing to do as this president and his administration wants us to do, which is to go about our business of our daily lives, pretending that kidnappings and assault and murder are normal business. These neighbors in Minneapolis, they are turning the tables, or maybe they're turning our world back right side up as they create a world in which love and care are the standard. A world in which whistles and weapons and phone cameras are tools for calling attention to and bearing witness. They are creating a movement which is singing, in which singing is protest and invitation. We walk the same ground, we've been torn apart. Put down your weapons, come sing your part, or something like that. We walk the same ground. But we've been torn apart. Put down your weapons. Come sing your part. 2,000 people gathered in the Arctic cold outside the hotel where ICE agents are being housed to sing this song and other songs. These protest songs often cite love as their movement's greatest strength and tool and weapon. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that, said Reverend Dr. King. To what do you want to belong? And what are you willing to do to create it? If you are at a loss as to what you can do to create the world in which you want to belong, I have an invitation for you. An invitation to join me and others in our community who are starting a Save Our Democracy team. And together we will dream of the world we want to live in, and we will brainstorm ideas And we will join with other organizations, mutual aid groups, and other churches already doing this work. And we will roll up our sleeves and we will grab our tools and get down to the business of work to build a world where home is not the mouth of a shark. A world where love drives out hate, where all can live in safety and wholeness and power and welcome. May it be so. Our closing hymn is Building a New Way. It was written by Martha Sandeffer, and it was arranged by Unitarian Universalist Jim Scott. Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing Building a New Way. Lyrics are on the screen and at 10:17. And because we are getting close to being done, we'll sing just the first 3 verses. These words written by UU minister, Reverend Elizabeth Sally Jones. May we leave this space with a felt sense of belonging, belonging to this church, belonging to these people, and belonging to the values that ground and hold us in religious community together. May we use the safety and welcome, the power and wholeness that we find here to do the work of building the world that we want to belong to. May it be so. Our service begins when our service ends. Go in peace.